Professor David Strain, do you think the public should comply with Plan B COVID measures?
There are some elements that are essential until we fully understand the impact of the Omicron variant. So, for example, masks are a very simple measure. They don't impact that much on our quality of life. We can still engage with most people, and it does protect the most vulnerable in the population. I do have some concerns about the vaccine passport. The vaccine passport is actually oxymoronic. Basically, if you're vaccinated, you can still spread the disease, but the alternative to being vaccinated is having a test that says you are negative at that moment, but you are not vaccinated yet, which means you could catch it from the person who is. So rather than a vaccine passport, I would much prefer people to be having a lateral flow test before they go out to Christmas parties. But there are most components of this are all preventative to try and maintain society, just in case Omicron is a much worse problem than the Delta and Alpha that have gone before.
David, we've had mask mandates on and off for nearly 2 years. Where's the evidence that they stop the spread of COVID-19?
So, I mean, you're right to point this out. Most of the evidence for masks have been that it reduces spread of other viruses that use the same transmission. The masks, the whole point of the mask is it stops you spreading it to other people. And we've seen in family studies that have taken place that it does reduce the risk of you catching it from other members of your family by about 75% compared to people who don't. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting you need to wear the mask in your own home. That's the way the study was done because it was impossible to organise it in the community. But these have been peer-reviewed articles that have demonstrated that if you are positive, even if you're asymptomatic, it reduces your risk of spreading it to someone else. The mask doesn't necessarily protect you. You need the FFP3 mask that we get when I'm on the COVID ward and the respiratory unit. That's the one that's going to protect me. But the mask is there to protect the vulnerable, the people around you, the elderly population from the virus that you may be carrying, even though you are asymptomatic. And but let's face it, our society is judged by how we treat our elderly and our vulnerable.
I'll come to Stephen and Claire shortly, but in terms of this protection from face coverings, I don't want to dwell on it, David. I'm fascinated to hear your overview about the COVID measures in their entirety.